This morning, a video circulating on social media showed passengers on a plane at the Culiacan airport ducking for cover. Children scared after the sound of gunshots erupted.
The recent emergence of new footage showcasing Ovidio Guzman, the son of the notorious drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, has sent ripples of concern across the United States. As the U.S. watches closely, the footage raises alarming questions about the cartel's reach and influence and the ongoing challenges in combating organized crime. Stay with us as we unravel this new footage of El Chapo's son that frightens the U.S. Why the U.S. is frightened.
The US government had sought the younger Guzman's extradition for years, posting in 2021 a $5 million bounty for information leading to his arrest. His latest capture comes ahead of US President Joe Biden's visit to Mexico next week for a summit where security issues will be discussed.
Imprisoned kingpin El Chapo's shadow loomed large, but a new threat emerged within the Sinaloa cartel: his son, Ovidio Guzman Lopez. A U.S. indictment accused him of inheriting the drug trade as early as 2008 when he was just a teenager. By 2012, U.S. authorities labeled him a key lieutenant, freezing his assets and effectively branding him a major player. This shows just how much U.S. authorities were bothered by him. Whispers turned to roars as El Chapo's capture seemingly paved the way for Ovidio's rise. News outlets buzzed with reports of him taking the reins alongside his brothers, the Los Chapitos, and a 2017 sealed indictment confirmed U.S. suspicion of his involvement in cocaine, methamphetamine, and marijuana trafficking for nearly a decade. On the night of the 4th of January 2023, the Lopez Guzman family gathered for a night of fun and revelry, unaware of the storm brewing. In a dramatic pre-dawn raid the following day, Mexican authorities swooped down on Ovidio Guzman Lopez's residence in Culiacan's Jesus Maria district. Helicopters whirred overhead as a military convoy surrounded the house. Within 10 hours, Guzman Lopez was apprehended, a direct contrast to his infamous 2019 release during a similar operation. Defense Secretary Luis Crescencio Sandoval confirmed the capture, highlighting the joint effort of the Army, National Guard, and both the Navy and National Defense Secretariats. Guzman Lopez was swiftly transported to Mexico City, placed in the hands of the Attorney General's Organized Crime Unit, and the fight against the Sinaloa cartel's leadership entered a new chapter. Justice seemed swift. Following his capture, Ovidio Guzman Lopez wasn't afforded the same luxury as during his infamous 2019 release. Within hours, the Mexican Air Force whisked him away by helicopter to the notorious Altiplano Federal Social Readaptation Center No. 1, a maximum security prison in Almoloya de Juarez. This decisive action aimed to prevent a repeat of the past. The operation also netted an additional 17 suspected cartel members, a significant blow to the Sinaloa cartel's immediate operations. But the capture wasn't solely a Mexican effort. Defense Minister Luis Crescencio Sandoval revealed a crucial detail: a 6-month-long surveillance operation leading to the arrest had the backing of U.S. officials. This international cooperation was further amplified by the hefty $5 million bounty the U.S. had placed not just on Ovidio, but on 3 of his brothers as well. The message was clear: the fight against the Sinaloa cartel's leadership was a united front. Chaos erupted in Culiacan following Ovidio Guzman's capture. Enraged cartel members transformed highways into fiery infernos, burning vehicles to block access. The violence spilled over, targeting armed forces directly. Even Culiacan International Airport wasn't spared, with gunfire erupting near 2 planes, a frightening reminder of the cartel's reach. The unrest continued for days, with official reports confirming the deaths of 10 soldiers, a police officer, and at least 19 alleged cartel members. In a desperate attempt to regain control, the Mexican military launched a series of air assaults with planes and helicopters, a display of the escalating conflict. By January 13th, authorities declared a semblance of order restored in Sinaloa, but the scars of this violent outburst remained a grim reminder of the cartel's power and the challenges Mexico faces in combating drug trafficking.
At the airport, they took aim at military aircraft. A passenger plane was also hit, forcing those on board to take cover as they took off.
Sinaloa cartel gunmen had unleashed a terrifying counteroffensive. Barrage upon barrage of .50 caliber bullets erupted from a half-dozen cartel-modified trucks, their mounted machine guns tearing into Mexican armed forces. The army scrambled, unleashing Black Hawk helicopter gunships to silence the rolling arsenal. But the cartel wasn't backing down. A hail of gunfire rose from the convoy, forcing 2 of the helicopters to retreat, riddled with bullets. The chaos spilled over to Culiacan International Airport. Cartel gunmen in a desperate bid, turned their sights on both military and civilian aircraft. One passenger plane bore the brunt of their attack, its fuselage scarred by the hail of lead. Even airport buildings weren't spared, riddled with bullets to prevent authorities from airlifting their captive Ovidio Guzman. But the authorities, anticipating this resistance, had taken a crucial step. They'd already whisked Guzman away on a military helicopter headed for Mexico City. This daring move proved pivotal, leaving the cartel's violent display a desperate, albeit terrifying, attempt to regain control. The capture of Ovidio Guzman Lopez wasn't just a Mexican operation. It triggered a domino effect. The U.S. Office of Foreign Assets Control wasted no time, flexing its muscle with targeted sanctions. These weren't ordinary sanctions. They hit the Sinaloa cartel's Achilles heel, the network supplying precursors for their super labs, those clandestine factories churning out massive quantities of meth and fentanyl. Luis Gerardo Flores Madrid, a suspected lieutenant under Guzman Lopez, found himself on the sanctions list, a clear message that the U.S. was going after the entire operation, not just individual figures. Secretary of State Antony Blinken echoed this sentiment, calling the sanctions part of a larger U.S. strategy to dismantle these transnational drug organizations. Meanwhile, in the U.S. legal system, the gears were turning. The docket for Guzman Lopez's criminal case was updated, a signal that his legal battle was about to begin. Behind the scenes, whispers of a formal extradition request from the U.S. started circulating in Mexican government circles. Finally, on September 15, 2023, those whispers became reality. Mexico extradited Ovidio Guzman Lopez, and U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland declared it a major step in dismantling the entire Sinaloa cartel.
This was the raid almost 2 weeks ago, targeting top leaders of the ruthless Sinaloa cartel, including a son of drug lord El Chapo with his hands up for a time. Sinaloa has controlled a majority of street drug sales in Chicago for decades, and now this new video of the takedown by Mexican security forces.
This wasn't the first time that the cartel had ferociously resisted the capture of their erstwhile leader. On October 17, 2019, a seemingly routine patrol in Culiacan's Tres Rios neighborhood took a drastic turn. A convoy of 35 police officers and soldiers found themselves outside Ovidio's house, exchanging fire in a fierce battle. Initial reports painted the picture of a chance encounter, but as the dust settled, a different story emerged. Authorities admitted this was a pre-planned operation, a response to a USE extradition request. Ovidio, apprehended alongside 3 others at 3:00 p.m. local time, became the unexpected prize. However, this capture wouldn't hold. The ensuing violence, allegedly orchestrated by the cartel, forced the Mexican government to release Ovidio to quell the bloodshed. But this was just the beginning of a saga with far-reaching consequences.
Helmet cam video from the October 17th assault on cartel operatives in Culiacan. This ended with 8 dead and 20 wounded after a gun battle between heavily armed cartel commandos and Mexican security forces.
Culiacan erupted into chaos in a terrifying display of the Sinaloa cartel's power. Around 700 heavily armed gunmen swarmed the city, their sights set on civilians, government buildings, and military strongholds. Ignoring even orders from Ovidio Guzman Lopez himself, sent in a desperate plea to quell the violence, the cartel unleashed its fury. Thick smoke billowed from burning vehicles, the acrid stench a grim reminder of the carnage. The cartel came prepared for war, wielding a chilling arsenal, improvised armored vehicles for protection, bulletproof vests to shield themselves, and a devastating array of weaponry, .50 caliber rifles to pierce through any defense, rocket and grenade launchers for maximum destruction, and heavy machine guns to rain down fire. The city was soon under siege.
Chapo's kin up against the wall, soldiers ordering him to call off cartel defenses as gunfire lights up the streets. He got on a cell phone and called his brother, but the deadly attack continued, cartel gunmen winning the battle. To curtail the continuing bloodbath, security forces released 28-year-old Guzman, the man they had come to get in the first place.
The city descended into a terrifying vortex of violence. Beyond the cartel gunmen battling security forces, chaos erupted within Culiacan's prison. In what the Daily Beast described as a planned attack, 56 prisoners rioted, overpowering guards and seizing weapons. This eruption from within added another layer of mayhem to the already volatile situation. Faced with this escalating conflict and the brutal capture of 8 servicemen as hostages, one snatched in front of his horrified children, the Mexican government made a heart-wrenching decision. To quell the bloodshed and prevent further loss of life, they released Ovidio Guzman Lopez. This dramatic turn of events, where the authorities seemingly surrendered to the cartel's might, left a lasting scar. Interestingly, Ovidio Guzman is not the only one in the family business, and in fact, they are also members of the Los Chapitos, El Chapo's other sons in the business.
They are known as Los Chapitos, the four most trusted sons of the world's most notorious drug kingpin.
Starting with Ivan Archivaldo Guzman Salazar, also known as El Chapito, who casts a long shadow in the Mexican underworld. Another son of incarcerated kingpin El Chapo appears to be following in his infamous father's footsteps. U.S. government sources and drug trade observers believe Ivan, along with his brother Jesus Alfredo and half-brothers Ovidio and Joaquin Jr., are collectively filling the power vacuum left by El Chapo's imprisonment. This group, known collectively as Los Chapitos, is suspected of assuming control of various aspects of their father's Sinaloa cartel empire. Ivan Archivaldo Guzman Salazar was born into a world steeped in narco-trafficking. We already know his father is El Chapo, the notorious Mexican drug lord and former leader of the Sinaloa cartel. Alejandrina Salazar Hernandez, Ivan's mother, was El Chapo's first wife. Through her, Ivan has two half-siblings, Raul and Ana Elizabeth Ramirez Salazar. According to Infobae, Ivan's familial ties extend beyond his immediate family. The outlet reports that he is related to trafficker Hector Luis Palma Salazar, alias El Güero, or White Boy. Intriguingly, El Güero and El Chapo's criminal paths intertwined long before Ivan's birth. They were associates in the Guadalajara cartel, a powerful organization that later splintered, with Guzman and Palma Salazar becoming key figures in forming the Sinaloa cartel. According to Insight Crime, these brothers, along with their half-brother Ovidio Guzman Lopez, were groomed for the life by their father, El Chapo, and his right-hand man, El Mayo. Brought into the Sinaloa cartel as teenagers, they were allegedly groomed to inherit the criminal empire. On the fateful day of August 15, 2016, individuals associated with the Cartel de Jalisco Nueva Generacion, or CJN, perpetrated a brazen abduction at the renowned La Leche restaurant, nestled in the vibrant tourist hub of Puerto Vallarta in broad daylight. Among those forcefully taken were Ivan Archivaldo Guzman Salazar, his brother Jesus Alfredo Guzman Salazar, Michael Collins, and four other individuals. The incident sent shockwaves through the community. In the ensuing days, both the Guzman family and the DEA confirmed the release of Alfredo, Ivan, and their companions, marking an episode that highlighted the volatile dynamics of the region's criminal landscape. Following the imprisonment of El Chapo in 2019, the U.S. Department of State alleges that his sons, Ivan Archivaldo Guzman Salazar, Jesus Alfredo Guzman Salazar, and half-brother Ovidio Guzman Lopez, have solidified their leadership within the Sinaloa cartel. According to U.S. officials, they've not only inherited their father's criminal enterprise, but have also significantly expanded its operations. This includes establishing clandestine fentanyl production labs in Culiacan, a stronghold of the cartel. Furthermore, the organization has embraced more sophisticated smuggling techniques, utilizing maritime and air transport alongside the established network of border crossings and underground tunnels. These developments have bolstered the cartel's influence and pose a considerable threat to regional security.
And Jesus Alfredo Guzman Salazar. Jesus, known as Alfredio, is believed to be at the top of the heap and under indictment here in Chicago, charged with trafficking and conspiracy.
Jesus Alfredo Guzman Salazar and his brother Ivan Archivaldo Guzman Salazar, both sons of the infamous Sinaloa cartel leader El Chapo, have ascended to leadership positions within the cartel. They are now considered key figures in the organization's fentanyl trafficking operations. Their criminal activities encompass a wide range of tasks, including coordinating the flow of fentanyl across the U.S. border, managing the shipment of precursor chemicals from China to Mexican production labs, and overseeing the collection of drug proceeds that fund the cartel's activities. Furthermore, Jesus Alfredo holds a specific responsibility for managing the trafficking of other illicit substances, such as cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and marijuana. Inheriting a criminal empire isn't just about profits, it's about maintaining control. Jesus Alfredo Guzman Salazar, alongside his brother Ivan Archivaldo, understands this well. Following their father El Chapo's imprisonment, these Chapitos, as they're known with their half-brothers Ovidio and Joaquin, have ascended to leadership within the Sinaloa cartel. But their reign isn't solely focused on fentanyl trafficking, a trade the DEA blames them for significantly escalating. Jesus Alfredo also plays a crucial role in safeguarding the cartel's operations, ensuring their illicit network remains secure. The DEA specifically points to the Sinaloa cartel under Los Chapitos' leadership as a major culprit in the recent surge of fentanyl flooding American streets. Notorious as Alfredillo, or simply Alfredo, Jesus Alfredo Guzman Salazar stands out as the only one of El Chapo's sons to earn a coveted spot on the DEA's most wanted list. He and his brother Ivan are believed to be joint leaders in managing crucial aspects of the Sinaloa cartel. However, Alfredo's leadership style is far from inconspicuous.
Chapo's apparent #1 son doesn't hide his narco-world affluence. As we've reported, he posts video of his expensive fleet of sports cars, private planes, and the trail of cash that has made him a top target of federal agents in Chicago.
Despite his fugitive status, he's become infamous for flaunting a lavish lifestyle on social media, a move that seems more suited to a rock star than a high-ranking cartel member. This penchant for extravagance stands in stark contrast to reports that emerged in 2016 when Alfredo was allegedly found to be more interested in partying than the drug trade. Perhaps this behavior contributed to his abduction, alongside his brother Ivan, by the rival Jalisco New Generation cartel that same year.
Tonight, U.S. officials have put bounties on each of the sons at $5 million per man.
This Chapito is shrouded in more mystery than his flamboyant siblings. Joaquin Guzman Lopez operates in the shadows of the Sinaloa cartel. Unlike his brothers who court notoriety, Joaquin maintains a low profile. This lack of public information makes it difficult to gauge the full extent of his involvement. However, investigations suggest he's far from a bystander. Evidence points to his direct participation in the cartel's operations, raising questions about the discreet role he plays in this ruthless organization. Joaquin Guzman Lopez, also known by the aliases El Güero, Moreno, and Güero Moreno, isn't just another member of the Sinaloa cartel. Following in the footsteps of his infamous father, El Chapo, Joaquin has risen to a position of significant power within the organization. Law enforcement investigations reveal a surprising wrinkle. Joaquin, along with his brother Ovidio, appears to operate a semi-autonomous drug trafficking network within the Sinaloa cartel itself. This independent organization, dubbed the Guzman Lopez Transnational Criminal Organization, allows the brothers to wield considerable influence while still benefiting from the vast resources and established infrastructure of the larger cartel. The Guzman Lopez brothers, Joaquin and Ovidio, were thrust into the world of narcotics trafficking at a young age. This inheritance came through tragedy as they assumed control of operations following the death of their older brother, Edgar Guzman Lopez. Edgar's demise resulted in a significant windfall for Joaquin and Ovidio, who promptly began reinvesting a substantial portion of the drug proceeds. Their investments weren't random. They strategically focused on acquiring marijuana from Mexico and cocaine from Colombia, further expanding their narcotics portfolio. Additionally, they displayed a keen eye for future opportunities, venturing into methamphetamine production. This required securing large quantities of ephedrine from Argentina, which they then orchestrated the smuggling of into Mexico to fuel their nascent meth labs. The main Mexican drug cartels. The Sinaloa cartel is a name synonymous with danger and violence. It has carved a bloody path across Mexico and beyond. This vast criminal organization, headquartered in the Mexican city of Culiacan, Sinaloa, boasts a network of ruthless operatives. They've earned a chilling array of aliases: the Guzman Zambada Organization, a nod to their key leaders; the Federation, hinting at their far-reaching alliances; the Blood Alliance, a grim reminder of their methods; and finally the Pacific Cartel, reflecting their geographic dominance. Their specialty? Flooding the streets with illegal drugs and laundering mountains of illicit cash. The Sinaloa cartel is a force to be reckoned with, a ruthless player in the deadly game of international organized crime. The Sinaloa cartel's story is one of deadly transformation, evolving from a backwoods operation into a global drug trafficking behemoth. Its roots trace back to the late 1960s in Sinaloa, where Pedro Aviles Perez laid the groundwork. Initially focused on marijuana smuggling to the U.S., Perez's innovation was key. He pioneered the use of airplanes, forever altering the game by enabling large-scale trafficking. His organization became a breeding ground for the next generation of ruthless Sinaloan traffickers. By the late 70s, Felix Gallardo co-founded the Guadalajara cartel, ushering in a new era. Under Gallardo's iron fist, the cartel dominated Mexico's drug corridors along the U.S. border throughout the 1980s. But his reign wouldn't last. Gallardo's arrest in 1989 shattered the cartel, fracturing it into smaller groups. From these ashes, the Sinaloa cartel, as we know it today, would rise, poised to take control and become a force to be reckoned with on the global drug trafficking scene. Throughout the 90s and the 2000s, under the iron fist of figures like El Chapo Guzman and El Mayo Zambada, the cartel exploded in size and brutality. Rival cartels and the Mexican government felt their wrath as the Sinaloa cartel carved out a vast criminal empire. They diversified their drug portfolio, becoming a one-stop shop for cocaine, meth, and heroin, further solidifying their dominance. Law enforcement enforcement netted numerous arrests and seized mountains of drugs, but the cartel, like a serpent shedding its skin, adapted. Sophisticated smuggling techniques, including tunnels burrowing beneath the U.S.-Mexico border, became their hallmark. Their tentacles stretched far beyond their Sinaloa base, reaching into Baja California, Durango, Sonora, and Chihuahua, with a presence felt across Latin America and major U.S. cities. The U.S. intelligence community shuddered. They now faced a drug empire unlike any other, perhaps even eclipsing the infamous reign of Pablo Escobar's Medellin cartel. Cocaine, heroin, meth, fentanyl, cannabis, MDMA, and the Sinaloa cartel had a deadly grip on the global drug trade, a multi-billion-dollar enterprise fueled by violence and fear. The 1990s were a brutal proving ground for the Sinaloa cartel. Squeezed into the Tijuana corridor controlled by their rivals, the Arellano Felix organization, the Sinaloans faced constant conflict. This culminated in the brazen murders of two of El Chapo Guzman's associates by Ramon Arellano Felix, sparking a bloody war. Recognizing the need for a strategic shift, Guzman ceded more control to Ismael Zambada, nicknamed El Mayo, a free man with a knack for forging alliances, while El Chapo and his right-hand man, Hector Palma, also known as El Güero, faced prison time. El Mayo shouldered the responsibility for the cartel's meteoric rise. This unassuming farmer and former small-time trafficker who once dealt in kilos had blossomed into a master strategist, navigating the treacherous world of Mexican drug trafficking. By the mid-90s, whispers emerged that the Sinaloa cartel, under El Mayo's guidance, was rapidly approaching the dominance of the infamous Medellin cartel at its peak. The Sinaloa cartel wasn't just surviving, it was thriving, laying the groundwork for a future as the world's premier drug trafficking empire. A bloody war raged between the Sinaloa cartel and the Tijuana cartel, also known as Arellano Felix organization, for control of the lucrative Tijuana smuggling route into San Diego. This feud had its roots in a betrayal. Following his arrest, Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo, former head of the Guadalajara cartel, handed control to his nephews, the leaders of the Tijuana cartel. Enraged, Guzman and his lieutenant Hector Palma launched a vicious attack at a Puerto Vallarta disco in 1992, leaving 8 Tijuana cartel members dead. The retaliation was swift and brutal. Tijuana gunmen ambushed Guzman at Guadalajara airport a year later, mistakenly killing 6 innocent civilians, including a Catholic cardinal. The lavish car the cardinal was traveling in, mistaken for Guzman's, proved to be a tragic twist of fate. By 2014, weakened and battered, the Tijuana cartel had been largely absorbed by their rivals, evidence of the Sinaloa cartel's growing power and ruthless efficiency. This bloody conflict marked a turning point, solidifying the Sinaloa cartel's dominance in the region and setting the stage for their rise to global infamy. Another rising threat stalks the shadows of Mexico's drug underworld, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJN. Led by the ruthless Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, alias El Mencho, this cartel has carved a reputation for shocking violence and a total disregard for human life. Their brutality extends beyond turf wars. Public relations campaigns designed to intimidate rivals and civilians alike are a hallmark of the CJN. While they've diversified into other criminal activities, their bread and butter remains drug trafficking, with cocaine and methamphetamines fueling their bloody rise to power. The CJN isn't afraid to employ extreme tactics. Reports of cannibalism during training and the use of drones and rocket-propelled grenades paint a picture of a ruthless organization unlike any other.
The Jalisco New Generation Cartel have become known as Mexico's most violent and dangerous drug empire, and the most serious challenger to the mighty Sinaloa cartel.
This cartel is a force to be reckoned with, a growing challenge to the dominance of the Sinaloa cartel and a source of fear and instability in Mexico. The CJNG erupted onto the scene in 2009, a violent splinter group from the Milenio cartel, swiftly crushing their rivals from their parent cartel, La Resistencia, and seizing control of their smuggling routes. Within a mere 6 months, CJNG's reach stretched from coast to coast, solidifying it as a major player by 2012. Their arrival was marked by a surge in violence. Homicides, kidnappings, and mass graves became grim hallmarks of Jalisco. By 2018, they were believed to operate over 100 meth labs across Mexico, their drug trade generating a staggering estimated annual profit of $8 billion from cocaine and $4.6 billion from crystal meth. Their ambitions are as vast as their violence. CJN wages war across Mexico, battling rivals for control of lucrative territories, from Guadalajara Guadalajara to Mexico City, Michoacan to Guerrero, and Veracruz to Puebla, they fight for dominance. The Sinaloa Cartel, Los Zetas, Cartel del Noreste, and a host of others feel the sting of their expansionist drive. Yet the CJN isn't without allies. They've forged partnerships with the Cartel del Golfo and La Linea, a sign of their complex and ever-shifting web of alliances. One thing remains certain: the CJN is a force to be reckoned with, a major player in Mexico's deadly drug war. Striking fear into the hearts of even hardened criminals, CJN has carved a bloody path across Mexico. Mexican authorities consider them one of the nation's most dangerous groups, a brutal runner-up to the Sinaloa cartel's power. Heavily armed and notorious for their savagery, the CJN operates like a military force. They boast a special ops unit trained in specific warfare tactics, ensuring maximum lethality in their conflicts. Recruits aren't simply thrown into the fire. Their hitman training program is rigorous and professional, molding them into ruthless killers. The CJNG has made a name for itself in battles against notorious groups like Los Zetas and the Templarios. This is a cartel that doesn't shy away from violence, a well-oiled machine of fear and bloodshed. While not achieving complete control in every territory they touch, their dominance is undeniable in key regions. Jalisco, Nayarit, Colima, and the port of Lázaro Cárdenas buckle under their iron fist. Veracruz's eastern swath and the oil-rich center tremble under their influence, with Guanajuato, Puebla, Querétaro, and Hidalgo feeling the squeeze. Even established rivals struggle against the CJNG's grip in Tijuana, Juárez, Tierra Caliente, and the Riviera Maya. Their ambitions stretch beyond Mexico's borders, with a network of contacts in Colombia, Peru, Bolivia, and beyond. From the US and Central America to Canada, Australia, China, and Southeast Asia, their reach extends, tightening their hold on the global drug trade. The brazen 2020 attack on Mexico City's security secretary broadcasts their growing boldness, a gripping reminder that no corner of the country is immune. And the 2021 Aguililla massacre, a brutal display of force in El Mencho's birthplace, served as a stark warning. The CJNG is a cartel on the rise, a merciless predator determined to claim its territory. La Nueva Familia Michoacana, also known as the New Michoacan Family, or simply LNFM, is a notorious criminal syndicate renowned for its involvement in illicit drug trafficking, illegal mining operations, and extortion activities. At its helm stands Johnny Hurtado Olascoaga, famously known as El Pez, alongside his brother Jose Alfredo Hurtado Olascoaga, alias El Fresa. This organization has gained notoriety for its intricate network and ruthless tactics, dominating various criminal enterprises across regions. Under the leadership of the Olascoaga brothers, LNFM has solidified its presence as a formidable force within the realm of organized crime, wielding power and influence with impunity. Emerging from the ashes of La Familia Michoacana, LNFM rose to prominence in 2011. Prior year had witnessed the fracturing of the original cartel's dominance, brought on by the ascent of the Knights Templar cartel and the presumed demise of their leader, Nazario Moreno. However, Moreno's death remained covered in doubt until a DNA test definitively confirmed it in 2014. Capitalizing on this power vacuum, LNFM carved out its own territory. The organization channeled its efforts into drug trafficking, establishing a foothold in the Tierra Caliente region that straddles Michoacan and Guerrero. This ruthless ambition inevitably placed them on a collision course with the CJN cartel, sparking violent turf wars for control of the lucrative drug trade. Designated by the U.S. Department of Treasury, LNFM is a dangerous Mexican drug cartel. Their primary operation is feeding the U.S. drug trade, trafficking cocaine, fentanyl, and methamphetamine across the border. But their reach extends beyond hard drugs. LNFM cultivates marijuana and poppy fields, fueling the illicit market with these substances as well. Notorious for ruthlessness, the cartel uses social media as a weapon. Leaders leverage online platforms to threaten and blackmail rivals and the public, solidifying their control. LNFM's influence stretches across at least 35 municipalities in southern Mexico, making them a major player in the country's drug trafficking scene. So what do you think of El Chapo's son? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Also, for more equally engaging content, click on one of the cards appearing on your screen now.